Have you ever heard of a man who could fall asleep and see the future? A man who, in a deep trance, could diagnose illnesses, describe past lives, and predict world-changing events. Today, we're diving into the astonishing story of Edgar Cayce, America's most documented psychic, often called the Sleeping Prophet. His life was a journey filled with mystery, incredible healings, and prophecies that continue to puzzle and fascinate us to this day. Was he a genuine channel to a higher consciousness, or just a very convincing performer? Let's find out. Born in 1877 on a farm in Kentucky, Edgar Cayce's life was anything but ordinary from the start. As a child, he was quiet and introspective, claiming he could see and talk to the spirit of his deceased grandfather. His parents, deeply religious farmers, were understandably concerned. The defining moment of his youth came when he was struggling to spell a word in school. Frustrated, he fell asleep on his textbook. When he woke up, he knew not only how to spell the word, but the entire contents of the book, page by page. This was the first glimpse of the incredible ability that would later define his life. He had discovered that he could absorb information while sleeping. As a young man, Cayce didn't pursue a career in the paranormal. He was a simple, devout Christian who worked various jobs, including as a bookstore clerk and a photographer. His life took a dramatic turn when, at age 21, he developed a severe case of laryngitis that left him unable to speak above a whisper for nearly a year. Doctors were baffled. Desperate, Cayce turned to his own strange ability. With the help of a local hypnotist, he put himself into a sleep-like state. While in this trance, he diagnosed his own condition as a psychological paralysis of the vocal cords and prescribed a specific treatment involving increased blood flow to the area. The hypnotist gave the suggestion, and to everyone's amazement, Cayce's voice returned to normal. He had healed himself. Word of this miracle spread. Soon, people were coming to Cayce for help. He was hesitant at first. He was a photographer, not a doctor. But he couldn't ignore the pleas of the sick and suffering. So, he began giving what would become known as his readings. Lying on a couch, he would enter a self-induced trance. His wife, Gertrude, or later his secretary, Gladys Davis, would ask him questions on behalf of the person seeking help. While asleep, Cayce would provide detailed medical diagnoses and prescribe treatments, often involving holistic remedies like diet changes, herbal preparations, and osteopathic adjustments, long before these became mainstream. Over his lifetime, he gave over 14,000 of these documented readings, all meticulously transcribed and archived. The success rate of his cures was astonishing, earning him a following but also skepticism from the medical establishment. But the readings weren't just about health. As people continued to ask questions, the scope of Cayce's trans-state knowledge expanded dramatically. He began to speak about philosophy, reincarnation, and ancient history. He described past lives in incredible detail, claiming that our souls live many lifetimes, learning and growing through each experience. He talked about the lost continent of Atlantis, describing a highly advanced civilization with sophisticated technology powered by mysterious crystals. According to his readings, the misuse of this power led to the continent's destruction in a series of 3 cataclysms. He even claimed that some of the souls from Atlantis had reincarnated in the present day to guide humanity away from a similar path of self-destruction. Of course, what captures the public imagination most are his prophecies. Cayce made numerous predictions about the future, And this is where his legacy gets really interesting. While in his trance state, he foresaw major world events with unnerving accuracy. He predicted the 1929 stock market crash and the subsequent Great Depression. He warned of the rise of Hitler and the outbreak of World War II, seeing it as a battle against the forces of darkness. He also predicted the eventual fall of communism and the breakup of the Soviet Union. He even spoke of a union of Russia with the United States after this collapse, a startling idea for his time. One of his most famous and controversial prophecies involves massive geological changes, what he called earth changes. He predicted that parts of the U.S. West Coast, including Los Angeles and San Francisco, would be destroyed. He saw land rising in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, and dramatic shifts in the Earth's axis, leading to climate changes where cold regions would become tropical. He specified that these changes would begin between 1958 and 1998, a period he called a precursor to a new spiritual age. While the dramatic shifts he described haven't happened on that scale, some point to the increasing frequency of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and extreme weather as potential signs of these changes beginning to unfold. Cayce also spoke of future technologies. He described a form of energy harnessed from the sun's rays being used to power cities, which sounds a lot like modern solar power. He also mentioned a death ray developed from the same principles used for healing in Atlantis, which sounds eerily similar to laser technology. Remember, he was describing these things in the 1920s and 30s, decades before they became reality. So, what are we to make of Edgar Cayce? He never sought fame or fortune from his abilities. He lived a modest life and often struggled financially, refusing to charge high fees for his readings. He saw his ability as a gift from God, meant to help others. He established the Association for Research and Enlightenment, or ARE, in Virginia Beach to study and share the information from his readings. Skeptics argue that his prophecies were often vague and open to interpretation, and that his medical advice was simply common-sense folk remedies. They suggest his successes could be attributed to the placebo effect or simple coincidence. Yet, the sheer volume and accuracy of his documented readings are hard to dismiss. The 14,000 transcripts provide a mountain of data that researchers are still unpacking today. He diagnosed illnesses for people he never met, hundreds of miles away, with details that were later confirmed by doctors. He predicted complex geopolitical events decades before they occurred. Was it a connection to a universal consciousness, what he called the Akashic Records, a supposed cosmic library of all events, thoughts, and actions? Or was he simply one of the most gifted intuitives in history? The life of Edgar Cayce challenges our understanding of reality, consciousness, and the limits of human potential. Whether you see him as a prophet, a healer, or a fascinating historical figure, his story forces us to ask bigger questions. Are we more than just our physical bodies? Is time as linear as we perceive it to be? And could there be a source of universal knowledge that we can all, in some way, tap into? The legacy of the sleeping prophet isn't just in his predictions, but in the enduring mystery he left behind. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the life of Edgar Cayce. What do you think? Was he the real deal? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more explorations into the world's greatest mysteries. See you next time.